Who wins and how?
Oh man, that's a great question. They're fighting, Max. That's how you're gonna know who's gonna win the fight. They're fighting, but I have some concerns. I really do. And the first thing that came to mind is can Crawford win a decision in Vegas? You have to understand this. Look at the history of Crawford and the way he starts fights. He's a bit of a slow starter, and you think about the way Spence starts fights. He's quick out the gate. He's consistent with his offense. And going down the stretch, if he gets behind on the scorecards, Crawford, he's gonna need a knockout to win in Vegas. And you gotta understand that the history of the judging in Vegas.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Oh yeah, I got a whole lot more to say. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. What you just heard was Timothy Bradley on Max Kellerman's trash show, Max on Boxing. Now, I already made a video about this, and I focused on different aspects of what Tim Bradley says. And to me, it sounds like excuses. Make sure you guys check out that video. In that video, I broke down what Tim Bradley said previously and how that didn't coincide with what he's saying right now. Reason being, he's telling you he's worried about the judges and the judges not giving Terence Crawford a fair shake. In that video, I focused on more of what he said previously, which was Errol Spence loses and Crawford wins by knockout. So again, if you are suggesting that Errol loses and gets knocked out and Terence Crawford wins by knocking him out, then why would you be worried about the judges? Make that make sense. You have no reason to be concerned. The question was and I want you guys to rewind it and then pause the video, rewind it, and listen to the beginning of this video again, because I pay attention to what people say, the words they use, how they phrase things, linguistics, all of that. And I want you to pay attention. Max Kellerman is the host, and he was asking Bradley a direct question. Who wins and why? And you hear a big pause from Tim Bradley, and then he starts saying, I got some concerns, man. Again, why would you be concerned if you said that Crawford wins by knockout? Why on earth would you be talking about judges? In addition, if you play it back and listen again, here's the other gripe that I had, which is why I had to make an additional video about Tim Bradley. Tim Bradley just told you, on top of saying he has concerns with the judges and getting a Las Vegas judge to get it correctly, if you listen to what he said thereafter, after that moment, after he said he has concerns, he said,
can Crawford win a decision in Vegas? You have to understand this. Look at the history of Crawford and the way he starts fights. He's a bit of a slow starter, and you think about the way Spence starts fights. He's quick out the gate. He's consistent with his offense. And going down the stretch, if he gets behind on the scorecards, Crawford, he's gonna need a knockout to win in Vegas.
Now, I know I'm the best in the business and I make it look easy, but I tell you, not everyone can do what I do, get behind this mic and make it make sense for you guys. So respect it, subscribe, hit the like button, super chat, cash app, all that, because I am the truth, the best in the business. Tim Bradley just said he's concerned about the judging in Vegas. I've already went over the other aspect of why are you concerned with judges if you're picking a knockout. The other inconsistency is if you listen to everything he just said that I replayed for you, he just said he's concerned with the judges because Crawford is a slow starter and he's slow to get off the blocks. And Errol Spence is a fast starter, and he says that can Crawford win a decision if he's behind and needs a knockout to win? So if you listen to the elaboration of his quote unquote judge's concern, what does this have to do with bad judging or favoritism or bias or corrupt judging if you just said Crawford was down on the scorecards because he's a slow starter and Errol's a fast starter, that sounds like a personal problem. And it sounds like more excuses. If Crawford chooses to start slow and Errol Spence breaks out to an early lead, then you're supposed to score round by round. If he loses based on that, that is absolutely his fault. I mean, that would be similar to Lomachenko versus Devin Haney, Lomachenko versus Teofimo. Lomachenko gave up so many early rounds, 6, 7 early rounds versus both Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez. And then he warmed up and had a late rally and flurry expecting to win the fight, but you haven't fought with that same vigor and intensity until the second half. Similarly, Vladimir Klitschko, when he fought Tyson Fury, he literally did nothing for the first half of the fight. And then when he knew he was about to lose his title, then he tried to ramp it up a little bit. So how is Tim Bradley saying he's concerned with the judges? And if the fight plays out like that, that has nothing to do with the judges and everything to do with Terence Crawford and Bomac and strategy and not being able to get off and break off to an early lead. I mean, Tim Bradley is insinuating that this could be corruption or bad judging. We all know he's saying if you look at the history of the judges, but they have no bearing on Crawford being a slow starter. That's something he would have to adjust and work through and not let Errol Spence break a lead. So you see, I told you this from the beginning. The Bud Buddies and a lot of people who are picking Crawford, I have no problem if you pick him, but I'm hearing picks, and then when it comes to the examining or examination of what you're saying and why you're picking him, that's where they're missing me. If you pick Crawford, fine, but I don't hear people intelligently breaking down why Crawford wins based on like evidence that makes sense. Instead, what I'm hearing is double talking like Tim Bradley saying Crawford gets a knockout previously and then now being scared about the judges and stuff like, oh, Crawford's a slow starter. I mean, that's his own problem if he can't get off to and rally and get points on the board before the first half of the fight. That has nothing to do with the judges. I'm hearing all types of triangle theories. Oh, but Sean Porter got knocked out and Errol couldn't knock them out. That has nothing to do with it. A triangle theory in boxing has never been a successful determining factor in who's going to win a fight because it's not a math class. It's not a mathematical equation where you can just say X, Y, Z, 2 plus 2. Boxing doesn't work like that. There's so many different variables and you can't reduce it to a mathematical equation of this guy beat this guy worse. So like, okay, because here's an example, and I could do this all day because I'm the best in the business. Canelo Alvarez was like 19 and he brutally knocked out Carlos Baldomir. Yeah, it was a single shot, if I'm not mistaken. He just knocked him out cold, right? But when Floyd Mayweather fought Carlos Baldomir, it went the full 12 rounds and Floyd just won. So you could argue Canelo had a more devastating win over Carlos Baldomir. But when you put it in context, it doesn't make sense because Baldomir was not a champion when Canelo fought him. And he was 40 years old, 41 years old. He wasn't 41 when Floyd fought him. Completely different spectrums of his career, completely different scopes when you add the details to it. And what happened when Floyd fought Canelo? Oh yeah, that part. Floyd dog walked Canelo. So it didn't matter that Canelo beat Baldomir better than Floyd or more emphatic because he lost. Ricky Hatton got knocked out quicker versus Pacquiao, but then when Floyd fought Pacquiao, I want to sub to my promoter. What happened? Deuces.